What is up, down and sideways, you beautiful individuals? This is another epi of Lyon, Eric, and Mark here with you guys to first remind you that it's Super Week in the LCS, and we got games going on a Friday, so we got to lock in a little earlier than we're used to.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a bit of a wiki-wacky type of time in the last bit of times here, looking at the global scene of League of Legends. You had the LEC rolling on the Monday, Tuesday, and here we are, LCS. We like to do things a little bit differently, and we hit you with those Friday game actions on a Super Week.
We'll always take Friday games over Monday. Let's just get that out in the open. But yeah, with these weird schedules, you got games every day. It's like they've combined to be the LPL and just have games on the Rift every day. But looking at some of these matchups, these are now elimination for everyone but the Cloud9 versus Sentinels one. So very high stakes, and we got some spicy matchups. First one up, I believe, is the Team Liquid versus DSG, which, I mean, at the start of the season, you would have said snooze on to the next matchup, right? But oh my, how things have changed, and I might even be crazy enough to give DSG the edge in this matchup.
I think that you could find various avenues, various reasons, statistical points, things that have happened within the last series or two. But yeah, you can go with the disguised route in this series, which is on all fronts, one, a positive for the disguised side that we are at that type of point in the talking point, and two, the other part of the equation, downside of Team Liquid, where we have not seen them be as powerful or as fully online yet, really, as I think a lot of us envisioned with this roster. So to see that at this point, and with where we have been with Disguise, yeah, I'd roll with that type of upset prediction coming on through.
And listen, you're looking, the one thing that didn't change for Team Liquid, we bring the bot lane back, you're going great, that should be old reliable. Lyon is kind of perennially a top 280 carry. He's going up against a rookie, no sweat, big advantage. But Sajed, not playing like a rookie. His development is exponentially on the right track, and there's an AD carry who is bottom 2, 8th or 9th, sometimes even lower than Mobility, who subbed in only to get completely crushed by Berserker in kills per game, damage percentage, gold per minute, kill participation, and gold differential at 15, and that AD carry is Lyon. What world are we living in?
Pretty crazy. I'm not exactly worried yet about Team Liquid in that regard. Can change very quickly if things do go the way of Disguised Toast this Friday, because when you're talking about where you've been with them and what you're seeing, again, those numbers where you do have some type of real problems when you're looking at it, is it the individual not being enough, or is it simply just figuring out the time and figuring out the exact things? But when you're talking about a player like Lyon has been there. That's the known commodity. That is what you have been having there and have found success building up. So now not having that this time around with the other changes with this team, absolutely it's going to be a little bit of a panic mode if they can't get by Disguise and can't use some of that, veteran style that they still have on this team to get that edge when you're talking about a best of series. Because I think that's where you can look at Disguised and still say, you know what, all these have been better, all these are positive moves in various avenues, but you still have that question about experience when you get to a best of series and all the pressure, all the mental focus, all sorts of things that add up to your performance within that series. That's where I would give that edge to Team Liquid heading into this one. But is that going to be enough given how poor the performance is in that gap? I don't know.
Yeah, and like 100% veteran edge goes there. I mean, Quid is like the least experienced guy on this roster, and Quid's been around for several years, picked up some MVPs. So, yeah, that goes their way, and you could spin that positively for DSG by saying, these guys don't know any better. They're just going to go to it. There's no expectations. Even if you feel like DSG have looked better over the last couple of weeks, nobody is saying Team Liquid are underdogs heading into this matchup, and the pressure is 100% on them.
I think that's got to be the avenue that you take if you are Disguised, and how you are preparing, how you are kind of trying to frame this series these next couple of days for your players, is that, yeah, all that pressure, all that everything else, It's on Team Liquid. They are the ones that need to perform, need to show the community that, yes, this roster is worth investing in and believing in this year round. Not you. You're no one believed in you. No one believed in getting to this point type of thing and having a chance here. So absolutely, I think that this has got to be the way that you frame it. Put all that pressure. Keep putting that heat towards Team Liquid. If you are disguised, give yourself that under the radar type of approach to this series.
The dream script matchup for Riot and the LCS is this FlyQuest Lyon gaming matchup. It's so fitting that this first matchup between Inspired and his former squad comes in an elimination match where, I mean, if FlyQuest lose here, you're going, okay, yeah, still room to work, blah, blah, blah. Lyon are supposed to be favorites or near the top to be vying for the title, so obviously would be a bigger disaster for them if they end up losing. Obviously, Inspired versus them is, the big storyline. But I'm looking at even Quad kind of trying to reprove himself because Saint has far and away been the most sus member of Lyon so far here early on in the split. And it's an opportunity for Quad to kind of maybe show Inspired I'm not the scapegoat from last year.
This is low-key the matchup that I am the most excited about heading into this weekend because of those reasons, because of just this brewing drama, because it's not on the surface or it's not, gone over top yet type of anything, but you better believe that there is something behind the scenes about getting this matchup and having this opportunity on both sides, right? Because yes, for Inspired, it's huge with where, that you've made this change, you've moved on, everything else like that. You got to prove it, and having a head-to-head, no better opportunity type of thing. And when you are FlyQuest, you were the one that wasn't chosen type of situation. You've had to make these changes, pivot, whatever. You prove that you still have that special sauce, that you were the right place to be type of situation. And you can do a lot of that in this series by having not only the young players, the new additions perform, but the remaining players on that roster, like you mentioned, with Quad, with Masu down in the bottom lane. I think both of those guys absolutely maybe might, varying ranges of it, but might have a little bit of a bone to pick with Inspired and would love nothing more than to dispatch them here in the playoffs.
And you don't think Griffin wants to prove himself against the guy that he replaced in that jungle spot? And listen, I've listened to some of these Lyon voice comps that we've had in games, and we're entering best of fives now. And you hear in the matches, Inspired will call out, oh, why did you go here? Why'd you get caught here? We should have done this. This should have been an easy fight. And I don't know, across a 5-game set, I feel like that can affect your mental. You're almost like, well, I don't want to disappoint Dad with how I play. So you're almost second guessing yourself immediately. And that stretched out for 3, 4, 5 games. That might have a toll and might be enough for me to say this could be double upset in the losers bracket if Team Liquid and Lyon both go home.
Which, flat out, let me just say, I don't want to be a preacher about this or any type of situation, because I certainly have sinned in that regard, playing games with friends and everything else. You gotta keep a lock on your mouth at that point, Mr. Inspired. You're not doing anybody any favors pointing out the mistakes in the moment in the game. I understand all those type of things, but that's absolutely something that can be a factor within those best of series as we talk about. And I think it's one of those ones where you can over talk about those type of factors being a part of a series and whatever else, but you also can completely undervalue what they bring and how they can affect and swing a series. And when you are talking about those games, you have to keep that mental and focus all the way through, and that energy level. Having that type of communication is certainly usually not a very helpful thing. So that's something that you can look at that one. And on that other side, I think, again, when it is FlyQuest and you have this type of goal to go against here with Inspired and take them down, that can give you that little bit of extra positive motivation and camaraderie together to come through this. And especially, again, knowing that it is a mixture of the old players on FlyQuest, old in big quotation marks in that regard, and the new young guns that have come in and are wanting to prove themselves on this team, having a shot against your former MVP. Yeah, big time motivation series.
the match to watch in my eyes. See what the 21-year-old boomer Masu has, going up against Berserker. And then obviously the last match, that winner's side, the only non-elimination is Cloud9 versus Sentinels. I'm trying to see the path. I'm trying to see the angle where Sentinels can come away with the series win, and I'm at best giving them a win. That's what I can give them.
And we're usually pretty generous about putting on the, Doctor Strange 1 million visions to find the avenue for the upset. I can't find it either.
I've gone through a lot of different dimensions, and
yeah, I'm very positive, very hopeful about Sentinels, and I think that really is what's on the table this weekend, is seeing how you can match up to a Cloud9 that has clearly shown out to be that early front runner for the region. If Sentinels can make it interesting, can get a game, get a second game, go to Silver Scrapes or whatever type of situation, yes, then I think that becomes a different conversation moving forward and you're adjusting the pieces. But for now, I think, again, the board seems pretty set in this one individual matchup, so much so that I don't see that avenue for Sentinels.
Cloud9 just seems so locked in on the mission, on the quest ahead, and is as over performative as Sentinels have been, I think, to people's expectations for this squad. They are going to be massive underdogs, and yeah, even getting a win seems hard pressed, especially with what Cloud9 just did to FlyQuest. But when you think of Sentinels potentially going to losers bracket, I mean, I think it's a similar power level with them and the other 4 teams we just talked about.
Yeah, and that's why I want to see how they hang with Cloud9, right? Can it be different than anybody else at this point so far? And can you take that, if you do not ultimately get the series, and utilize that as that launching board, as that springboard for you in the losers bracket of having that type of experience, having that type of head-to-head competition against what, again, has been that front runner, top dog of the LCS in Cloud9 so far. When I'm looking at Cloud9, I think I want to see the 5th, number 5. I want to see the 5th champion for APA. I want to keep expanding that champion pool. I think that's absolutely a conversation point, and I think maybe a couple Galio games. Well, only one because of Fearless, but we need another one in there to solidify him as number 4 before we even add number 5.
And surely that was a point for Cloud9, the coaching staff coming in saying, APA, welcome to have you, buddy. Let's expand that champion pool. I hope that was like mission number 1 for him on this team.
I've got no question that was certainly part of it, because when you look at that coaching staff, and specifically knowing I Will Dominate and how vocal he has been about certain things, watching APA and watching North America, yeah, I believe that has got to be one of these paths. And again, a great opportunity to showcase some of that here against Sentinels this weekend.
It wasn't the top dogs on the Rift, but we have a redemption season in the making for the DN Supers, because we got the flashback. It was 2022 all over again, the World Finals. POSIC playing at that absolute elite level across this entire series against DRX, but especially the Deathless Nefiri game in Game 4, where DRX so much are in control that their coaching staff is singing Silver Scrapes, ready for Game 5. Some bad to really bad TF play out of UCal cost them, and POSIC brings the guys onto the next round.
Oh, man, tale as old as time, celebrating, counting your chickens way too early.
It was like 18 minutes into the game and they were singing it.
I'll be fair, you did probably have the advantage, more or less, the hand on the driver's wheel in this game, but it was nowhere near the finish line and nowhere near a certain thing at that point.
It's still lap 1,
You don't bring that type of mojo, that type of energy and jutsu into that type of equation at that point, at any point in that regard. So big whoopsie on the DRX side, but absolute thrills on the DN Super side. And yes, POSIC with a fantastic performance. I think this is a guy that we have seen over the course of 3-4 years show us some of the most bottom barrel performances in the LCK, and simultaneously been one of the top leading game changers within the LCK as well. just another addition, another volume in the storybook to add to P06 career today.
I bet it's series like this why this guy will keep getting starting jobs for many splits to come, because you watch that VOD and go, yeah, sign this dude up for the team, bring him in, and now they're immediately back on the Rift very next day to match up against a much more substantial opponent in D plus Kia.
Yes, there won't be any singing of Silver Scrapes in the backgrounds of this one. I can promise you going into this next series. But yeah, DK going to be very much so a different challenge, another level up in threat for the DN Supers. But I will say at the very least, you saw enough positives and good stuff today in, again, relative to your opponent in DRX, that you can believe that this can be an interesting series and an opportunity again where, yes, you are going to be the underdog. You're not going to be at the same type of power level expectation. But if you can prove yourself in this series against DK, who's to say that you can't prove yourself in a series against a struggling or appearing to struggle T1 at that point if you keep moving on in these playoffs? So at least enough done from the DN Supers today to impress you, to believe, or at least, make you feel good about the chance that they have it tonight going up against DK and trying to make that gambling run throughout these LCK lower bracket.
This is a 1-4 team that has beaten KT, Nongshim in playoffs, eliminated both of them, went to Game 5 against BFX, who went on to beat T1, and now beaten DRX. So this squad has completely turned around their season, really, from that 1-4 start, and full redemption already, even if they lose to DK from what happened last year. But that is it today for League Unlock. Eric and Mark here with you, absolute stunners. Thanks for hanging out as always. We'll catch you on that flippity flip.